All right, everyone. So here we are. It's Monday morning. I am within my mobile command center right now. This is a 2022 Sprinter van, and I've outfitted it with my trading station in the back. It's you can't see it very well from the current angle of my laptop camera, but anyways, I've got my 24-inch monitor. So what's really nice about this trading station is it's not like my typical traveling trading station where I have just the smaller, you know, USB monitors. I actually have my full size 24-inch monitors here. So I've got one laptop screen, and then I've got monitor 1 and monitor 2. They're both mounted and hanging. I've got my microphone hanging right here, and I've got my Starlink on the roof. So I can trade from anywhere that I've got a clear view of the sky. And right now I've got a clear view of the sky. I'm in Canada. The ocean is just that way, and this is pretty nice here. So for me, I'm on Atlantic time, so it's actually about 11 a.m. About coming up to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at this point, I haven't taken a trade since 8:15. That was my last trade. So really, just simply because of the fact that things slow down. So I sort of said to myself, you know what? Things have slowed down. I think this is the time to kind of step back and not push my luck, especially, because I want to be able to spend some time decompressing a little bit this week after just reteaching all of day trading the basics over the last 2 weeks. So now I've got a week off, and then I've got a lot more coming in the coming weeks here in September. So this is kind of how the day sort of played out. So if we go back to the beginning, I sat down at I don't know. It was like 6 a.m. I pulled up the scans on my phone, as I tend to do. And as I pulled up the scans on my phone, I saw PMW and MRM were leading gainers. And I saw MRM was up a lot. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's a big move. So if you watch my recap on that I uploaded yesterday morning, I recorded it on Saturday night, but my weekly game plan, I said that I would be watching Mira and PMW because both of those were strong on Friday after hours. In fact, and this MRM is this thing is ridiculous. Look at the chop on this. So it's popping up, it's dropping down. This will drive someone insane. You try to trade the breakout, you get stopped out, and that's exactly what happened to me. You'll see I'm red on MRM. I'm red on this one by $200. Now it's not the end of the world. $200, is no big deal, but I am red on it. And the issue was it popped up here, and then boom, it drops down. So, this thing was just so choppy. Anyways, it pops up here, drops down, pops up again, drops down again. But let's go back to the watch list from Sunday. So watch list from Sunday morning, I said PWM worth watching for continuation. So on my scans here, one of the scans I like is the after hours top gainers. And I look at this most days just to see what was strong. Yes, what was strong basically after hours, either yesterday, if I'm looking at it in the morning, or if I'm looking at it like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., was there something that was strong after hours that I missed? Because that could be the watch list for tomorrow. So in this case, PMW and Mira were the two. So the only issue with that is that when the move starts after hours, as it did here, by pre-market, you're not getting the first jump on it, right? There's a lot of other traders that have already gotten a piece of it, and you're now trying to jump on the momentum, which I did. I did jump on the momentum, and I took an entry on this right here at $1.50. It's like $1.48. I was trying to anticipate the break through that psychological resistance of the $0.50. So I got in right there. It ends up popping up to $1.62, and I took my profit on it. And you could see I'm up $723. So, can't complain too much about that. It was, where was it? It was this candle right here. Yeah, what was the high of this candle? No, it wasn't that candle. It was the one that went to $1.50. Yeah, it was this one right here. It was $1.62. Anyway, so $723 on that one. Green is good, but I was immediately, to be honest, kind of disappointed because I was like, ugh. This thing is moving really slowly. It's really thickly traded. I can tell it's going to be a grinder, and it's not one I'm probably going to be able to do really well on unless I'm taking 30,000 share positions. But even then, it needs to move more than it's moving now. So I did not choose to. I chose not to get back in when it came back up. Oh gosh, darn it! Press the wrong hotkey. I'm struggling with my hotkeys a little bit here. It's okay. I'll load this back up. So I chose not to get back in it when it came back up to $1.50, $1.60. Mostly because the first attempt didn't really break out in that big of a way. So I was like, nah, I don't think it's really worth it. But then, of course, sure enough, on the second attempt, it ends up making this a nicer move. Not incredible, but a nicer move. So I'm just going to close those extra windows. So PWM. So yeah, it came back up, ends up squeezing through. Are you kidding me? Okay. I'm gonna have to come up with a different hotkey. That hotkey does not work. I don't know what kind of idiot puts a hotkey at Control W, because it's obviously gonna close a window. But anyways, it was me who did it. I was getting frustrated with my drawing tool this morning, and I was like talking about the hotkeys on it. So I changed to Control W, but that was dumb. So I'm gonna change it back to Alt Control W. Whatever. So okay, so that was PWM. All right. So then after that, I'll close this one, and then this loads my other two charts. I'll just put it on my side chart window over here. So side charts go over here. Okay. So that was PWM. Got it. Next stock. Now the first stock I traded today was actually RDHL, and this one was kind of wild. So RDHL had news that came out at 7 a.m. and the stock pops, as you can see right here, from $9 to 10, 10.50, 11, all the way to 12.50. That is pretty impressive. I mean, you can't disagree with that. So what I did on this is, I'm going to show you on the 10-second chart. I saw that it had news. I saw it's a biotech stock with news, and I'm like, this is what I like. So what I ended up doing was buying this dip right here, and it squeezes back over 12, back to 12.50, and I was like, are we going to break 12.50? I want to break 12.50, right? I want to break 12.50 and go to 13, 13.50 and keep pushing higher. That's what I was hoping for, and then it drops right back down, and I had to stop out. So I ended up making money on it, but then it comes all the way down to 10.50. I bought this dip. It bounces back up, but I only bought with 250 shares. It bounces back up, got a small profit on that, and it comes back to flat top at 12.50 a second time or a third time, and then it comes down even more. And now it's basically not even gapping, which is a little confusing. You know, stock has news, you've got a headline, but it wasn't enough. So I'm grateful that I was green on it. That was my first trade, which gave me total $980. I guess I was actually up like maybe 1,200, and I gave back a little bit on, I did a couple dip trades on it. So gave back a little bit off the top. So that was RDHL. You know, biotech stock with news. The price was fine. Somewhat recent reverse split, as you can see right here. A lot of room to the 200. This pretty much met everything I was looking for. I'm surprised it didn't work out better. So that was kind of my first caution flag. And then the second trade was this PWM trade. You know, cheaper stock, didn't give a big move. So small winner there. Now I'm up, was it 1,600 on the day, 1,500 on the day? Then the next trade was the loss on MRM. So MRM, I only traded once. I took a loss on it. And my trade on this was right here. I bought right here thinking we were going to curl back up, and I just stopped out for a $200 loss. And that was on 5,000 shares. So I only lost 5 cents a share. That's not bad. Really can't complain about that, but it was a loss nonetheless. And then ASST is my biggest winner, and this was one where Starlink kind of got me a little bit. So I jump into ASST as it's popping up on this initial spike right here. And I thought, because it was just after 8 a.m., I was like, there might be news on it. I'm not sure, but let's just watch this first pop. So it pops up right here. It squeezes from 180 to 190 to 210 to 225 to 230. It dips down. And once again, I bought this dip right here. I bought 5,000 shares and then I didn't see anything happen. I was like, wait, what's going on? And I clicked it twice more. And then all of a sudden I had 10,000 shares. I had just a hair of like latency on the Starlink. So now I'm in 10,000 shares, which is still fine. It's no big deal. And then it pops up and I was like, well, let me get out of this. I put the sell order out and again, I don't see anything. And I'm like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden the shares are gone. So I was like, okay, made 17 cents a share on it, but I'm having an internet issue. So let me hold off and just wait for a second. Now, as it turned out, the reason I was actually having an internet issue was because I had downloaded this 1.2 gigabyte video file because I'm working on all these videos that I'm doing for you guys on YouTube and everything else, and I had started uploading it, and when sometimes when you don't have great internet and you try to upload, it just slows everything down. So when I saw that, I was like, well, let's just pause that upload for a second. Pause the upload, and then the internet went back to normal, and it was fine for the rest of the day. So I just have to remember, kind of word to the wise here, not to try to use the internet in the same way that I might at home, because it's not. It's good. It's great today, but not not as good as at home. So anyway, so ASST was my last trade, and that was at like 8:15 a.m. And then I just was sort of sitting here, and I was like, okay, what's next? What's next? But ASST sort of popped up and then came back down. It did rally back up. LIXT came up, and I was like, I'm not going to take it. I got to wait for it to prove itself to me. And I'm really glad I said that, because this thing pops up on light volume. Look at how light the volume was on the buying. Then the selling volume was tremendous. So light volume buying, high volume selling comes right back down. It's now down on the day. So at that point, I was like, all right, not good. We're seeing some nasty rejections. Need to be really careful. BNAI did the same thing. It popped and dropped, but it did end up, it's now rallying back up, which is fine. That's an okay setup for a curl. The interesting thing with this is they have an offering priced at $5 a share. But, well, it's just kind of interesting, because I was saying, like, they must have had a really good sales pitch, because they sold stock for twice its current trading price. So I don't know how they did that, but either they found someone with more money than brains, or someone that sees something that the rest of the market doesn't see. In which case, shouldn't they just buy it at 250 on the open market? Anyways, for whatever reason, it was a transaction at $5 a share, which is bullish in a sense, but also a little bit odd. So when that news first came out, I was like, interesting, but then it dropped. And then now it's rallying. So drug, this one popped up, lighter volume, kind of waiting on that psychedelic drug candidate. I don't know. OBLG, recent reverse split, but that's the only catalyst. There's no real fresh news on it. So it actually halted up, but I was like, I can't trade this, guys. Not today. On a day when the market is hotter, maybe I would take that risk, but not right now. So OBLG, that was out of play for me. And there were a couple of penny stocks that popped up, but nothing that looked really exceptional. So, as we sit here right now, 10 a.m. on the nose, on the dot, I'm really thinking that I had the right call to scale down and scale back as quick as I did today, which ends up basically, it puts me in a position where today is not the daily goal. As you can see, it's a small green day, but small green days like this, especially after such a strong month, are totally acceptable. Just chipping away on these kind of small green days and being prepared the second something starts to pull away to size up and get aggressive. Like, I'm happy to step up to the plate and be aggressive. I would have totally leaned in if one of these today started to pull away. It just didn't end up happening. But I think that right there is like, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is the result of confidence like last year, a year ago at this time, I wasn't feeling as confident as I'm feeling right now. 2023 was a tougher year for trading. The market was slower. I was feeling kind of beaten down. Like every time I felt like I stepped up to the plate, I got slammed back down. And so the market kind of beat me into submission last year. And I was just like, ugh, all I can bear to do is just take these little base hits because every time I try to step up, I get slammed back down. So I was just like, I'm just going to be a base hit trader. And then, next thing you know, I was base hit trading all through January, got myself off to a small start on the year. And then surprisingly, kind of out of nowhere, we had some fantastic momentum, if you recall, in February, right? And all of a sudden, February ends up, let's see, so year by month. So February ends up being a solid $130,000 for me, which was remarkable. I was really impressed. That was the best month. I didn't have a single month. I don't think that was that good in all of 2023. So boom, big green month. But then March, this was my kind of first like setback of the year. March, I kind of tried to step up because I had such a good month in May. And then look, minus 10,000, the next day minus 19,000. Oh, that sucks. And then minus 5,000 there. So March ended up being kind of like a very small green month. And then I spent time in March at the end of the month looking at my metrics and asking myself, what are you doing that's working and what's not working? Because that month was not so fun. It's not fun to have those kinds of big losses, right? And what I noticed was that I was losing money on stocks that were higher priced and lower priced. And I was also losing money trading outside my sweet spot, which is from like 7 a.m. to sort of 10:30, 11. So for the month of April, I was like, let's turn that around. I did. I adjusted quickly and was right back on track. May adjusted, was solid. And then June was the last day that I had kind of a big red day here in June, a $10,000 loss. And after that, I made this change. I kind of had this epiphany that if I start every day with small size, which I did kind of coming out of that loss, that if I go red on the first trade, the loss won't be that big and I'll be able to tolerate it and either stop right then and there or still have a really good chance at recovery. Um, and, because what I noticed was that I tend to, on days where I'm losing, the losses tend to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not letting me zoom in on that day. Let me go to calendar. So what I mean by that is I'll start, let's see, I'll start with like a small loss and then the loss just sort of snowballs, right? Red and then further, it snowballs. That's like a typical red day for me. This day, I don't know, was green and then went red. We go to to March, and you'll see like this red day, probably capitulating. Green to red, should have just stopped, but went deeper, tried to recover, went even deeper, right? Rookie move. This was just one horrible trade. Swinging for a home run, getting desperate. This day, stair-stepping down, trying to recover, can't recover. And then green days, generally just sort of start strong and continue. When I look at decent green days, and there weren't a lot in March, but, we look at July or something like that, a decent green day usually starts sometimes a little bit red. This one was a recovery, but look at how red I went, $1,500. That's really not that bad. And then, this day here, let's see, pretty much just solid green right away. This day here, pretty much solid green from the beginning, more or less. And so that realization for me was start with small size. And if the market is cold, you'll go red, but the loss will be small. And if you don't see any chance of recovery, don't increase your share size. Because that was my biggest problem. I'd go red, and then I would increase my share size to try to recoup those losses and get myself back to green, and the losses would get bigger and bigger. So I said, basically, don't increase share size unless you're first up over $1,000, and then have at it. And that has been such a big transformation for me. I wouldn't have thought it would be such a big transformation, but it really has been. And so the result is that yeah, I had some days in July that I went red, but I only went red small. Like I didn't go deep red because I wasn't taking full size until first I was up more than 1,000. And then once I was up more than 1,000, boom, now I'm sizing up. And next thing you know, I'm nicely green. So, July was, so the rest of June ended up being a little touch and go, but I was trading with this sort of new strategy of small size until I'm up more than 1,000. I think, some days I kind of got there on the first trade and I was like, that's awesome. Other days I didn't get there at all. So I just had to stick with small size, 5,000 share cap, right? So, and that led into July being a great month. August, right now so far has been a terrific month. And we've got 4 days left after today. So, we're in the last week of the month. It's sort of the home stretch here. And I just need to hold it together. Now, if I can continue to be, I think, disciplined, that shouldn't be a problem. But I will say that RDHL was a risky one for my first trade because it was light volume with big spreads. And at that price range, it doesn't take much to be down 50 cents a share. So that one could have gone south on me, and that was my riskiest trade of the day. I'm fortunate that didn't totally crash because that could have been pretty bad. But and by bad I mean I could, if I'd lost 50 cents a share, I would have been down $1,500 on 3,000 shares. So not the end of the world, but still that's the only trade today that I should have been a little more cautious on and waited for maybe tighter spreads or gone with a little smaller size. But even then, I still, all things considered, was pretty moderate on it. So my plan right now for the rest of the week is that I'm going to show up. I'm going to kind of like try to get in, get green, and get out. And part of that's because I'm on my traveling trading station, and my goal this week is not to trade 8-hour days. Although I'll tell you that if we have a stock that squeezes up 700%, I'm going to keep trading that thing until it slows down. So look, if I end up having one day this week that I'm here till 4 o'clock, so be it. I'm happy to do it. But I'm not going to do it on a day like today when I'm not getting rewarded for it. And I think that's a really important thing to ask yourself. Is today the day to dig deep and to just, really try to trade everything that's moving? Or is this a day where I should be a little bit more cautious and more conservative? And I think today, I just don't see the reason to size up at this point, since my last trade was now like 2 hours ago. So today is really slowed down. Okay, so that's it for me. Those of you guys who are watching this on YouTube, as always, I'll put a link for a 2-week trial in the description, and I'll pin it to the top comments. So if you want to trade side by side with me for the next 2 weeks, during your 2-week trial, you'll have access to chapters 1 through 6 of Day Trading, the basics. You'll have access to chapter 1 of Day Trading Strategies and Scaling. Plus, you'll get a few live trading archives and a few mentor sessions that you can watch. So you've got a bunch of content you'll be able to watch over the next 2 weeks, and you'll be able to be in the chat room using the scanners, using the charts and the news feed, and listening to my broadcast. So it's 2 weeks for $20. And now I'll say right now, there are some people that are trying to abuse that. Now, it's not the intention that you just do it indefinitely, just keep doing 2-week trials. And we do put a block on your account if we see you doing that. So we'll send you an email. We'll say, hey, look, fair is fair. If you want to sign up, here's a link to sign up. We're happy to have you sign up. And, when we've got discounts or sales going on, we'll give you a discount. But the trial is really meant for giving you kind of a test drive and a preview. But, you can't go to a car place and just do test drives every day and run errands. That's kind of like not the purpose, right? Okay, so fair is fair. Hope you guys understand that. But if you haven't done a trial yet, by all means, check it out, see what you think of it, and then we'd love to have you become a lifelong member of the community. And I think many of you, of course, will be, because you enjoy the software so much and my commentary and everything else. So thank you guys who are already here and for your loyalty. We love having you here every day, and I'll be back at it live streaming bright and early tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the morning, and I will take this as an opportunity to remind you, as always, hey, what do I always say? Trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow, practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. And I'll see you back here live streaming bright and early tomorrow morning.